G'day guys and welcome back to SimWorld episode 20. We are live and I'm here with Brett, who is I guess the designer or the maker of Spectrum, the Element launch monitor. And that is going to be today's episode today. We're going to be talking all about the Spectrum Element. We will wait for people to file in. Welcome Brett to the live. This is exciting. This is going to be the first live I guess I've done with a guest like yourself. So it should be pretty exciting.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really excited to be here and hopefully answer some questions. Yeah, and talk about, well, it's, the fact that we're actually a company now with a name and we have a product name. And yeah, we have a lot to get into, I guess. So
Oh,
excited for
there's
that.
so much to get into. I mean, I've had so many questions from so many people about this product, and it's kind of been like, it was a slow burn. I got one of the very first, I do have it set up. I've got one of the very first launch monitors that you guys kind of made at home, 3D printed it. We've got a lot to talk
Yep.
about, but I've had, from that initial video we did where you were playing with the unit and we did that on-course video, there's just, people have just been so many questions about it. So it's so good to actually get you on the show to just answer all those questions firsthand.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, it's also really hard for, like, we're so busy. I'm so busy.
Yeah,
Mike's so busy. It's hard to find the time to like do videos ourselves. Like we're prioritizing trying to make progress and work on the units. So
yeah.
I feel like we're bad at updates, but we've done a couple things. So it's nice to do it on this. It's a little more personal. And then of course on that front we have some links that we'll share, during this and afterwards so that people
Absolutely,
can
yeah.
get information.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we're starting to get people filing now. We've got 16 people at the moment and the numbers are growing. I guess from where I was in my last video to now, there's been some pretty exciting news. There's now a website, obviously, where people can go and actually read about this. There's a frequently asked questions and things like that on there. But hopefully we
Yeah.
get a few people come in. I'm just going to change this order just so you can see. I don't know if you've got the actual the video up, Brett, but we've got the questions on the screen, or we've got the chat on the screen. I don't know if you can see that on your end. Try and make
Yeah,
it a bit
yeah, I
bigger.
can.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Probably a
Um,
couple seconds behind, but yeah, I'll see it.
yeah, cool. So feel free to ask questions, guys, whenever you want. We'll be going over some basic stuff. I've sent a few questions to the guys, and we'll be going over just the basics. But let's talk about, I guess, the big announcement that kind of went under the radar was the launch of the website, the actual name
Mhm.
of the product, and then also the Discord. So there's kind of three things there that are quite big that I didn't really do a video on. I think I still am going to do a video on, but I mean, yeah, those things kind of went under the radar.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So for everyone that doesn't know, yeah, our company name is Spectrum Golf Technologies. We're incorporated in Canada. We have our website, spectrumgolftech.com. And yeah, we have a Discord now that's pretty new, but we're gonna try to be more consistent with putting updates and cool screenshots from development. If something new gets completed or happens, we're gonna try to share a little bit more. And I think that will probably be, besides, the odd YouTube video that I'll be doing in the future, that'll be probably the best place would be the Discord to find the information for this unit.
Yeah, nice. There's a lot of like Discord is such a good place for things like this with all the different you know, categories that you can have in your actual Discord group. Now, people can go on and find this information, but I'm going to run through some questions first, I guess, while people are joining the chat before they start asking questions. But let's talk about price point with this
Yeah.
unit. So what do you guys have a price that it's going to be yet? Is that kind of set in stone?
A firm one, no. Um, the I kind of find myself having this like chicken and egg kind of thing going on where we have to finish building it, and like there's things that have to happen once we have everything finalized hardware wise. Outside of bill of materials, there's insurance and certification, and of course marketing and all this stuff. What I will say is I have a hunch we'll be right at like Nova, hopefully less, but kind of right around Nova is.
Yeah.
A, I think that's a good number where maybe we'll surprise some people, but I don't think we're gonna disappoint too much if I say Nova.
Yeah, nice. And I guess it's a good price point because realistically, you've got units like the Square, who are like the real low entry level units that do the basics and they do them really well. They get ball data really well. They've got some limited club data. They don't have things like club speed,
Hmm.
but it's a good. What I guess is missing in our market at the moment, apart from the iMini Lite, and look, you've got the Skytrack units, but I have my thoughts about the Skytrack units. They're for the price they're at, there's so many limiting factors. Like you've got to hit from that laser dot. There's not an actual window, an area to hit from. There's
Hmm.
kind of like a missing link between the Square Golf launch monitor and then like, I guess iMini Lite, but then you're talking iMini, which is like in Australia almost 9K. So there's a big kind of gap there. There's a void that hopefully is going to be filled by units like the Element and like the Nova as well. I think it's a really good price point and target because most people, if they can afford the Square, they can save a little bit more and get, something a little bit higher. Speaking of that though, and I'm going to put you on the spot, Square versus
Yeah.
Element, why should people be saving a bit more money and going the Element? And
Um.
that'll put you on the spot.
Yeah. I mean, I think I got a couple reasons why. First off, that unit's really impressive when Mike and I saw it. And sorry, by the way, Mike is actually in this chat, my business
Is he?
partner. So if you guys have other questions, he can probably answer some in the chat as well.
Okay,
So,
fantastic.
yeah. Anyways, to the Square. Yeah, first, like that one, when Mike and I saw it, what's the word? Felt it definitely was a little gutted. I felt, like they beat us to the punch on, being this really impressive, accurate, affordable unit. But saying that, you already mentioned they don't do club speed. It does limited, it doesn't do club speed or other metrics. And I feel like for us, even between Nova and Square, we can do everything they can do. I'm pretty sure we can almost do everything like an iMini can do.
Okay.
So like we have right now, we can do club speed. I actually am working on right now and was messaging you late just last night, I think.
Yeah.
We're making some really, really great progress on more advanced club data that involves face angle metrics. So that's face to path, spin loft, dynamic loft, potentially. I think I can get face impact within a couple millimeters, probably 2 mil. Yeah, so like a lot of little extra features there. The other really cool thing is like this unit, and Mike can probably give more details on this, but we're actually going to try to make the unit as open source as possible.
Mm,
So that means giving all of our users in the community data, all of the data that it spits out, but also we're thinking of giving the club marker data and the ball position data, so they can go and make their own dashboards, their own apps, their own analysis tools, their own driving ranges, whatever they want. So it'll be pretty cool. Yeah, and Mike, since you're in the chat, if there's anything that stands out, just remind me if I'm forgetting anything. But yeah, like I think we can do it all. I think we can do all that, everything that the midpoint units can do. But for, like you said, even at the price of Nova, that's a huge discount compared to an iMini Lite or an iMini or
yeah.
a GC3, even the scaled down Bushnell, whichever
Yeah.
one that is. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so Nova, I think, oh, someone's put it in the chat, 1,500 US dollars. Yeah, so thanks, Phil. Thanks for staying up, Phil, as well. It's about midnight there, I think, for you, isn't it? It looks like Phil's jumping in on some of the questions as well. Club data, that's really good to know, because I think a lot of people get the square and they miss out. Like club speed is a very obvious one, and I still, for the life of me, I struggle to see why Square aren't really focusing on club speed, even if it's just with driver. But so what you're
Mhm.
talking about is having the iMini does angle of attack, it does club path, and it does what else does it do in terms of club data? It doesn't do face angle.
Angle,
Angle of
I would
attack, club
assume
path.
the three basic ones would be club speed, angle of
Speed.
attack, and path.
Yeah, those are the three that the iMini does. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's because they use the single marker, right?
they do. Yeah, so they use a single marker and they put theirs on the toe. So the
Yep.
iMini requires the single sticker on the toe there. Whereas your marker, can you talk about where your marker is going to be, or?
It's still being finalized, but
Okay,
and the thing is, I kind of want to set this up so you can actually use either one, two, or three markers,
so that's interesting.
and it will allow you to, if all you want is club speed, just put one marker on it.
Yeah.
If you want, I don't know, I mean, what does two get you that three one doesn't? I can't remember. I had a list, but let's
Okay.
say you wanted the full list, and you want to do three. Now you
Two would be
have
able to do
every,
face angle, would it? Or do you have to
um
create a plane to get
yeah,
that face angle?
you'd get really close to a real number. You get
Hmm.
like you get like an apparent face angle. It'd be really close, but yeah.
Hmm.
I guess lie
Yep.
reasonably, yeah. But anyhow, yeah, we've got the single dot working. I'm working on the three dot or like a single dot in a bar
Yeah. Okay.
to basically, yeah, get all club data. And like I said last night or last week, I've been working on it. It's been something that I haven't touched in a long, long time, and got back into it because we
Yeah.
have a little bit of time waiting on some hardware to show up. So yeah, I was working on it and was seeing some really good results. And last night, I kind of got to the point where kind of a little bit of a eureka moment where it's like, I think we got it. I think we finally nailed it. So fingers crossed that continues to go smoothly.
That's super exciting. Yeah. So the difference, I guess, I've got the unit, the version, this was version 2, I believe.
Mhm.
Version 1 was the 2x4s, wasn't
Yeah.
it? This is version 2. What's version 3? Like what's different between the version I have and version 3?
Yeah. Let me actually just bring up my list here so I don't miss things.
Yeah.
But the big one is the one version you have. You can kind of, if you peek inside there, there's about a million wires going
Yeah.
between cameras and two separate PCBs, um and nothing is like everything's on like jumper pins and stuff like that. Like it's very much a development unit. This new hardware really gets us to the point where everything that can be is on a single PCB. So we're eliminating a
Mm.
bunch of wires, eliminating the two different power cables that are coming out of the back of yours that
Yeah.
will now be one. We're officially adding in USB ports for charging peripheral devices, and some the potential future upgrade of swing cameras. So
That's
that's pretty
cool.
cool. Um, yeah, I know I'm forgetting stuff, but yeah, basically it's the big jump to like a unit that can be assembled easier, would actually be much closer to something that you would see if you went to the store and bought it and brought it home and
Yeah.
opened it up. Like you were basically trying to get to that point where, like, barring any major problems, this could be the PCB that is in the final version. That's really the hope and goal, that this is it. No more big hardware designs need to be completed. This is just test it, integrate it, and then out the door for a bigger test campaign. And if that goes smoothly, probably into some sort of fundraiser. So
That's huge.
it's Yeah, it's close. Like V3 might be the element that you get in your hands.
Yeah,
So
wow.
hopefully,
That's huge. So a lot of under the hood um, developments, I guess, things that people
yeah,
might look at and not really see from the actual outside of the device, but internally it's just a lot more sleek, a lot less things
yeah,
that can go wrong, and
yeah,
almost like more commercial ready, I guess, is probably,
yeah. And it's future. We're trying to future proof. Like we have a lot of other things that we would really love to add to the unit in the
yeah,
future. But just aren't critical to like getting it out the door. Like there's a lot of bells and
yeah,
whistles you can add. Um, so we actually have on that board, like we tried to think ahead and say, okay, like, what if we want to add this or this or this? Like, let's just make sure that the headers and the ports or the connectors are there so that if in the future there's an element, you know, version 3.1, these things always evolve. So like, we have the ability to just tack that on, work on those features in the future
yeah.
when things hopefully slow down. Although if it goes well and we're building a bunch of these, I guess it won't slow down very
It's going
much.
to get quicker and
Um,
quicker, I think.
yeah. The other thing too is we upgraded the onboard processing. So, and that will reduce your processing times to about 50% of what they were before. We basically got 100% improvement on processing times. So
Yeah,
that's
wow.
also a really nice upgrade, which
And that's
again
what
also
Mike,
future.
yeah, Mike's just saying that in the chat as well. He's saying it's 2 times faster, which is huge, which delay time's huge, right? Like
Yeah.
a lot of people, there's, you use units like the SkyTrack and then you go to even an iMini or you go to the Protein, it's just like instant data and you just look up and the ball's flying. I mean, it just, you will get used to a delay, don't get me wrong. And some people don't mind it, but you'd get used to it and you wouldn't mind it. But then when you have a unit that's instant, you go, "Oh wow, okay, this is what I was missing out on." And then you realize that actually the delay is it can get quite annoying.
Yeah, I think it was shortly after I did my very first video with my 2x4 unit. I played with a guy on GS Pro and went on Discord and did the whole video chat thing. He was using a SkyTrack,
Yeah.
and I legitimately thought that he was having no reads, and then the ball would all of a sudden fly.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that the original SkyTrack was notorious for like a shot delay, but even the second version, like it still has a shot delay. And you think for a unit that they had, like, what was it, like 6 or 7 years in between units, they still have a shot delay. They still have to hit from a laser dot. It's like that sort of stuff adds up, and that's the sort of stuff that just does my head in. But a lot of people don't mind
Yeah,
it and they market really well, and it is what it is. Phil is
yeah.
asking, what is the actual flight time in GS Pro? So one of the questions has
Oh,
come in.
actually, Mike just answered that.
Yeah, he did too.
Yeah, our goal is under a quarter second. I found
Yeah,
in testing that it's not the fastest. It's not, like your current overhead quick, but
yeah,
it's quick enough that on pretty much any, even a putt, honestly, like by the time you look up, the ball's moving. Like it's like,
yeah,
and on like a full swing, it's 120 yards downrange already. Like
yeah,
it's gone. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, quarter second, and yeah, we've seen like even faster than that. And I think Mikey said there, new version without club around 100, with club around 200. Yeah.
yeah,
And I guess one thing too, a lot of our code not optimized for speed. Like we've kind of
yeah.
done some things along the way, but you can shave off 10 milliseconds here and there. It starts to add up.
So I guess another question just on speed then, because I know what ProT does is they actually send ball data through first to GS Pro in a data packet, and then they
Yep.
send club data to really maximize the speed that it goes into the world. And then, like a fraction of a second later, you can't even notice it. Then the club data comes through. Is that sort of something that you guys could potentially do to like keep that speed as quick as possible?
100%. Yeah, Mike and I were talking about that. We were talking about like if we have our own UI. If you
Yeah,
don't hook up to like the software, that's how we were saying like that's how we would probably handle something like that. Like just
Yeah.
get the ball moving and then give the other information. It's not required. And the big question that we had was, can you actually do that with GS Pro? But sounds like you can. So cool.
Yeah, well, that's what I know. Prote's doing that. So, oh, that's a great question, Glenn, and that's one I was going to ask. It's on my list to ask. Right, this one as well. Glenn's asked a very, very good question. That is, I know Brett's got an answer for this. So, does it measure? Is it dimple tracking, or do we need a logo or a pix ball to actually pick up the spin and spin axis?
Yeah. So currently needs pix balls or a logo. I've tried it with a few different balls, different logos. Pix balls by far are the most accurate. Logos work really well, but are less reliable than a fixed ball. On the dimple spin, like true dimple tracking, um, we're like right on the fence of whether it's possible with the cameras that we have. I've played with it quite a bit, and I've gotten it very close. And I think that this new hardware is going to let us finally kind of push that over the hill, or it's going to roll back onto us. We'll know for sure if we can do it, because yeah, I've made quite a bit of progress on, looking at the ball, filtering it appropriately to try to extract the dimples and features. But we don't have like the fine control over the cameras that we need currently. With the new hardware, we might just have the control to like improve those to get to true dimple tracking. So short answer is no, it does not do dimple tracking. We're really hopeful it can. And once we have, some units out for testing, we'll probably spend a few weeks really seeing if we can extract that feature.
Yeah, yeah. Well, fingers crossed. Hopefully, it can get full dimple tracking. I mean, if it did, that would be incredible. But realistically, a pix ball, or you can even get like, Titleist golf balls, and you can get logos put on them and stuff. So pure
Mhm.
dimple tracking would be perfect. But for this price point that we're aiming at, or that you guys are aiming at, um, you know, realistically, the only one that has pure dimple tracking in a low price point is the iMini Lite, and that's going to be a bit more expensive anyway. And also, it's got a lot of limitations. So yeah, in a perfect world, it would be. Let's see. There's some questions coming through now. Spike's got one. Got a camera. Got a question about cameras on the launch monitor. Square is dark tinted. I have clear polycarbonate screen on mine. It reads everything perfectly. My theory, the reason tinted is for cosmetics. Do you have tint on your
Um,
camera? So I guess he's saying, do you have like, in terms of the hardware itself, we've got the two cameras on the unit. Is there anything covering those two cameras in terms of like a polycarbonate or
so,
something?
so no, and Joe, you have one there, but I actually have the plastic that
Okay.
we use. So you'll see it's really dark.
Yeah.
This is sorry, specifically to that question, we're using this dark plastic, but we don't actually, it doesn't go in front of the camera lens. The
Mm,
camera lens, it's actually a cutout in this to not have, um, yeah, the camera looking through it. Number one reason is the thought is that the reflections of the lights behind, if you get reflection off the plastic back to your lens, you could have like lens flare and lots of other little problems. But this plastic is actually like, it took me a long time to hunt it down. It's specifically for infrared light, which is what pretty much all of these units use, is some sort of light source in infrared spectrum, and I think it lets like light pass through at like 95%. So yeah, no, cameras not tinted, but that kind of look. And yeah, I would imagine it's for cosmetic reasons, because then you can hide either your camera, or like, depending on how it's designed internally, you might be looking at a bunch of wires and PCBs if you don't put a plastic over those areas. So
Yeah.
Tint, no real purpose. Yeah, no, exactly. I think it's just cosmetic. For us, it's yeah, you'd be looking inside at camera brackets and PCBs and wires. So no point showing that when, especially when we're not covering the camera.
Yeah. So in terms of tint, does that play into using the unit outdoors versus indoors? And is this going to be an indoor unit only, or is this going to be something that you could potentially use even outside under a porch? Or, you know, people have got nets set up in their backyard. Is this something they could take outside in sunlight and actually be able to use?
At the moment, no. And the plastic won't affect that. Turns out the sun is a pretty major source of IR light. So yeah, it's not going to change much there. I think it could be done in one. I think it could be done. We just need to do some pretty major processing of images,
Yeah.
and you'd probably be a setting like say, hey, we're hitting outside. Two, I think it actually might work currently, or I'm fairly confident it could work in the future if you didn't have um, direct sunlight on the ball on the hitting area. Like if you were under at a covered driving range or something like
Yep.
that, I think that we could get away with it. It's in my experience so far, it's the direct sunlight, and it really comes down to like to keep price down. These cameras don't have a lot of onboard control in terms of um, like dynamic adjustments.
Okay.
We're pretty we kind
Yeah.
of like set our numbers and run with them. But yeah, right now, no. I know Mike really wants it to work outside. The other
Yeah.
thing to consider is that when you start using devices outside or selling devices that are meant to be used outside, is now you have to get into like designing it to protect from water, and there's more like electrical safety
Yeah.
things to consider, which we haven't. So it might be it might be something that we can never actually say it does officially.
Yeah. That
Because
kind of
we
makes sense.
right? So because we can't be like, yeah, go use it outside in the rain, and then it fries itself or hurt somebody or something like that. Like
Yeah.
that's not what we want.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah. So Phil is saying, will data always be measured, or could spin and spin axis be estimated from club data if spin can't be read from the ball?
Yep.
So I guess that's what, like a lot of these launch monitors now that don't dimple track, like the Pro T, it has an algorithm built in where if it misses the spin and spin axis, instead of the ball just going straight, it will take all of the other data, look at it, and go, with those dynamics, with that impact location, this would have been the shot shape.
Yep. Yeah. So, um, yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, I obviously companies are doing it. Um, it's not going to be as accurate.
Yeah.
There's although like you could basically say that a open face to club path or a closed face to club path is going to give
Yeah.
you a cut or a draw. You should maybe factor in speed and dynamic loft to that if you have club data, or just speed and vertical launch angle. You can kind of piece together what that ball is going to do.
Yeah.
Um,
And then
I think I
impact
like it.
location just ruins everything with gear effect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like there's a lot to it, but like you could get something, and I think I always had this thing in my head where um I had this idea of like kid mode, and this kind of like plays into it. Where like, as far as data and having like a backup, where you can estimate the number.
Yeah.
I personally don't want that. Like if I play on the sim golf tour, I'd rather it just no read and not send than give me some rough estimation
Yeah.
that like I don't want that. But I understand that some people would be like, you know what? I don't really care. Like I'm a 25 handicap, and I don't need to know that it went 26 yards left instead of 23 yards left. Like that's not gonna change my experience. And especially like a good example of that is for kids, where they're like blading them and topping them, and those may not read. Just do a kid mode where it's like we got vertical launch angle and we got ball speed. Send it. figure it out
Yeah.
and send it, just to make it fun and usable. And it's an option. You don't have to use it, but I like the idea of having something like that to make it fun. Like my wife, like she struggles. She's you know, fairly inexperienced golfer, and she's hit
Yeah.
cut balls on it. And the second she tops one and it doesn't measure, she kind of gets like she becomes uninterested and disheartened. And it's like, well, if I could make this easier for you, and just I would love to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. And I agree with so I do like having an option to have like estimated shot shape sent through, especially if you've got something like a Pro Tee that does impact location and takes that into account. But I'm the same. Like if I'm playing a tournament round and you don't capture spin or spin axis, just don't allow the shot through. Just go, nah, disregard that shot. Do it again. I'd much prefer that over having
Yeah,
something that would take off. If I'm trying to play a big hook out of the trees and it doesn't capture spin axis and it goes dead straight right into the other trees, I'm going to be fuming.
yeah,
So I'd rather it
yeah,
just not send it through and just let me have the shot again.
yeah, yeah. I 100% agree. And like from day one, even back with the 2x4 unit, I spent a lot of time just like trying to build in criteria, just being like, even if I got all the data and had an answer, like, am I seeing a lot of like variance, and like, am I confident? Like, is this actually a good number? Because like, just don't send it. Like, don't send it. And like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I got that one going to a point where it was like I'd have a misread. I don't know, every 100 shots, something like that, and it's like, or I
Mm.
no read every 100 shots, but I didn't have misreads. I had no
Yeah.
reads, and that's to me better.
To me, I'd rather a no read. Yep. Just give me a no read, move on. I can hit the shot again. And at least if people know that, like if you let people know up front, hey, if you get a no read, what's most likely happening is it hasn't captured the data points it requires. So just go
Hmm.
again. I could live with that. Like, because you get annoyed on no reads, you hit a shot and you go, oh, hit that so good. But if you know, hey, the unit didn't capture this, so therefore it's a no read, go again, you can live with that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I want that to be rare. Both those scenarios to
Yeah,
be rare, but
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked about GS Pro. What about, I know this is probably early on to say, but the software, like in terms of software, standalone software,
yep.
what's this thing going to launch with? Is it going to have a basic driving range that you can use? Is it going to have an application on your computer, or how's it all going to work?
Yeah. So the right now we have a browser application that works on basically any device that you can hook up to Wi-Fi on, and that's going to allow you to control the unit and see your main interface, which will show you all your data tiles. And recently, actually, will be updated, and I put it in my on the Discord. Is we actually have a flight model in there now, so you'll be able
Yeah,
to see the
nice.
trajectory of the ball and see the flight data. Next step is probably gonna be a driving range of some sort, so at least you have that. That would be, uh, you know, at release or shortly after release. I would really like us to have a driving range at minimum,
Yeah,
um, and kind of leave it at that. Maybe if things go really really well and we can spend some money on building out more, building out a golf course to go along with it, or golf courses go along with it. That'd be really cool. But I'm kind of thinking there's just so many good options that I don't know if it's worth our time. And we really do have
yeah,
plans to. We're already reaching out to E6 and Austin Golf and GS Pro, and
yeah.
like starting talks about getting official integration. So
Nice. That's what
we're
I was going to
gonna
ask.
yeah, so we're gonna, you're gonna have a UI, get all your data. You'll see the flight path. You'll be able to get flight data. There'll
Yeah,
probably be a driving range, and then the next big thing would be integrate with as many options as possible. Like anyone that'll work with us, we
yeah.
want to integrate with.
So Phil just stole the words out of my mouth, and it's on screen now. Can we have a
Driving green.
driving range and a putting green?
Yeah,
because
I
a
think
practice
so.
putting green would be very nice with stimp. I do love practicing putting, and so having that, like if you were going to go somewhere, you could take your launch monitor, take your phone, and you're going away on a work trip, you can just practice putting. That would be huge.
Yeah, that's a good idea for sure. Yeah, I
Yeah,
would say, yeah, it probably won't be. You're not going to see anything like that um, right away. But yeah, I think it's something that we could do relatively easily. But yeah, well, I think that's a feature that you'll see eventually, no matter as long as we
yeah,
don't disappear.
yeah,
It just might not. It just might not be by the time of like a test campaign or like the initial launch. It's
yeah,
just that's we really got to focus on as much as possible getting a working unit to
yeah.
the end of the development phase.
And Glenn is asking, so putting already works? It absolutely does. I'm at the driving range. What I might do is I might hit a few putts just to show people the putting.
Oh God, when was the
Um,
last time you used this unit, Joe?
the last time I had this hooked up was a while ago. What could possibly go wrong on live testing, Brett? This is what
Just
people
I'm
want to
gonna
see.
caveat right now. Joe has out of date hardware, out of date software. Yeah, just saying that. Go watch his other video where it was working. Don't read too much into this.
Out of date hardware, out of date software, 10-foot putt, negative -0.3 launch angle straight in the hole.
Yes, perfect.
This is so scary for you. I'm sure you're sitting there just going,
Yeah, you've never done this to me live. Thanks.
we'll go again.
Hot in here all of a sudden.
Yeah. The pressure's on me. I've got to get my putting stroke nice and smooth. Look at this. So, and this, do you know what the thing is? I've just got this visually aligned as well. I haven't actually gone through the calibration process, Brett. I'm sorry. I just set
Yeah,
it up this morning and I just
yeah.
went, I've got my overhead projector and I've gone that straight running parallel. And so it's not perfectly aligned, I guess, is what I'm saying. And we're still getting launch angles within half a degree, which is always my goal. What I'll say as well for people is this unit, obviously the picture of it is in the thumbnail. The actual cameras, they do look exposed. And if someone's going to shank a ball, they might hit them. But what this unit does, Brett, that is different to a lot of them is I feel like the hitting window is more parallel with the unit, if that makes sense. Like with the iMini, with the GC3, it's kind of a bit further back. With yours, it seems to be a little bit more forward. Was that done on purpose?
Uh, yes, and yeah. So basically, that's an attempt to make sure we have enough field of view for club data. I think it's actually going to move back just a couple inches. I'm realizing, or we are realizing that we actually might have a little more real estate to work with. So
Yeah.
that hitting area may move back a little bit, and I think, yeah, the reason they do that is for club data. There's some very practical reasons to move that hitting area back for club data. So yeah, just through some testing, I think we will also do the same. We just got to figure out how far back we can go, where we still have enough information coming in, enough frames being collected to give you club data. And we're going to do a feature that if you don't use club data or don't care about it, you can just flick that switch and the whole back area of our field of view will become hitting area. So like that should expand the hitting area to like, oh boy, I bet you what, 10 inches, 12 inches wide. Mike, maybe you can, I can't remember. You gave numbers to someone, but it'll be big if you don't want club data.
That's exactly what I was going to ask, the actual hitting area size. So what is it now? And if Mike could answer this, like what is it or what could it be in the future? That would be huge. By the way, all of these putts have been within negative, negative -0.4, I think was my biggest one left. But all of them have been consistently 0.3, 0.2, 0.3, 0.2. So I might just have to either talk about the alignment process, Brett, because what I do like is you have a built-in alignment process where you can set it up with I 3D printed this off. I've still got it. You sent me this file and I 3D printed this off for alignment. Can you talk about the alignment process? Because I do love a nice alignment process.
Yeah, so the alignment process, we've been talking about it recently, might change a little bit. But basically, yeah, you just get a we sent Joe basically like a little couple pieces you can put on the ground to place the balls nicely, line them up with a laser line, and then you literally all you have to do is open up the UI and ensure that they're into basically hitting areas, and you just press calibrate, and all that's doing is detecting the golf balls, and that new position just becomes your zero. So yeah, anyhow, it's I think it's pretty easy, and in the future we'll still use golf balls, but we might actually make it so rather than you calibrate to it, and you can kind of set it up however, we might restrict it a little bit. And part of that reason is club data is you really don't want the unit angled towards your screen. So anyhow, yeah, it's you place two balls down, make sure your unit is displaying everything in the right spot, adjust it accordingly, click save. So
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love the fact that you guys have an alignment process because all the time, that's the biggest thing with these units is you can have the best unit in the world, but if the alignment process isn't sound and isn't correct, then you're always going to be left wondering, hey, was that the unit like either misaligned or was that me with pulling it slightly on my stroke? That's the when I had the GC2 and it didn't have the alignment process and I'd hit a putt and I'd pull it and I'd be constantly making micro adjustments, just thinking, man, that ultimately that is what led me to getting rid of the GC2 because
yeah.
the alignment it just did my head in. I didn't know if it was me or if I was getting the right feedback after my stroke. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
One thing to consider too, alignment and putting, depending on the unit, like I think that most people keep this quite close to, or most launch monitor providers would keep this pretty close to their chest. They don't really tell you how much ball flight they're measuring. So on putting, I would say really important, and this goes for like any unit, radar, optical, whatever, is have a really nice smooth hitting surface or putting
yeah,
surface, putting stroke if possible. Um, if you look at a putt in real slow motion, it does, depending on the turf, it'll do this cool little pop right at the start, that
yeah,
you don't really want, and that can really start to affect the results. So, and then of course too, if you have a putting strip that's not level and it starts breaking, um, if you read that, it's going to report that. So,
yeah.
um,
I think one of the issues with my setup, Brett, that you highlighted to me was with my impact strip, because it was old, it actually had like a little, almost like a ramp, and the ball was
mhm,
dropping significantly. So I've updated my impact strip now to where that thing is like perfectly flat with my other mat. And so, yeah, that was a big thing that kind of, you highlighted that to me about my setup, and that's what was causing issues.
yeah, right. Yeah, we were getting, well, I mean, the putting, to be fair, at the beginning, we knew it was going to be rough. On slow putts, and then we fixed that. We
Yeah,
were still seeing kind of some deviations, and I got watching some replays. So we sent the unit to Joe a couple months ago, and he's been sending us. He can highlight through our user interface, basically send us videos back with a little comment saying this felt off, and we looked at those videos, and I started to notice a couple things where when the numbers or when he was sending us, quote unquote misreads or bad shots. Yeah, I noticed this thing about his hitting strip where the ball was taking like a little hop off the end of his putting strip, and that was resulting in some weird numbers. So
yeah,
sometimes, yeah. So like I said, that's the thing, and this goes for all launch monitors, guys. Is it's going to report what it sees, what it reads. So
Yep.
think about your setup. If you're seeing putts strangely go left, are they breaking left in the first foot? Even just 2 or 3 millimeters, because that's going to matter. So
Absolutely, yeah. And that's why whenever I'm testing, I always do that caveat and say, hey, this is what it's doing in my setup. Everybody is going to have a different experience in their setup, or may potentially have a different experience in their setup. So
yeah.
Phil's highlighted something really good here. He said, never, what was the comment before I just read? It was like, never trust Joe. What did he
Oh,
say?
never work live
Never work with
children.
live animal children or Joe Lagowski on an alpha launch monitor build. And I guess that's a really good point to highlight is this is an alpha build launch monitor that I currently have right now. So just be aware of that.
Yeah.
So I'm just hitting some little wedge shots out there, and you can kind of see on this alpha build the kind of delay time that you guys have got. Go in. Oh, you're kidding. That one almost landed in the hole. But you can see the
Nice.
kind of delay response time that you're getting from this unit, from this alpha build. And if that time is halved, that's going to be really good and very, very playable.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's funny. You work on a unit like this because you like fall in love with golf and sim golf, and you're like, this will be great. I'll build my own unit. I'll play so much sim golf. Um, I haven't hit a ball for fun in like a year on this thing.
Yeah.
It's always had there's always been a purpose, and yeah, hopefully that'll change, and I'd love to use it on go play some sim golf tour
Yeah,
tournaments again, because yeah.
absolutely. What was the question about putting? How far past the unit does it read putts, Frugal? Are you talking about putting length? So I
He's
guess,
he's
yeah.
yeah, he's talking about how much travel path,
Ah, okay. Yeah, that makes
which is
sense.
what
Yeah.
you're getting at with your setup there.
Yeah.
So the closer it is to the unit, the shorter that travel path it reads. The further away it is, we actually get more ball data. So we don't crop it. Like we can get more information by setting up the ball further away. I would say, I don't know, in the range of 12, 14 inches, I would say.
Yeah.
It's funny, like I've looked at a million videos, obviously going while I'm building this, and it really hasn't dawned on me, like, yeah, how much travel path we're actually calculating
Yeah.
on different shots. It's just, am I capturing, is the field of view big enough and the frame rate fast enough to get as many frames as I need to get the data I need?
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be working really good for you, Joe. I'm very surprised because like I think you're on what 0.04, and like
Yeah.
unofficially, I think the last one that Mike and I worked on, I want to say it was like 0.09, and like and then we each have our own dev version that we're moving on. So like we're realistically,
Yeah.
you know, version 15 probably. I don't know, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So
I'm on a
you're yeah,
very old build.
yeah.
Let me just do some. These GS Pro menus, they need to make it easier to navigate. I can never navigate these menus when I'm trying to just change the pins. It's just, they need to make it one page again, so then it's just easy to navigate. Practice settings, no. I'm going to do some chip shots with it, if I can actually find. Oh, there we go. Saturday pins. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to do a few chip shots, just basic chip shots. So I'll go drop my ball up. I do love the GS Pro software. Just, it's so good. You can just go and drop your ball anywhere you want so easily.
Yeah, it's made it, they've had a lot of improvements recently as well. So
Oh, yeah. Just a little basic chip shots. I might have to go
Definitely.
play in a tournament, I reckon, with this unit. We'll take it out to the tip store and see how it goes. Quick to register.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, Jay, I think for everyone, like the version Joe has right now, basically the harder you hit it, I think the quicker it'll be, just because we're processing a little bit less data. And yeah, the speeds you're seeing here will be quite a bit improved in the future.
Oh, let me check if it's still.
Oh,
The
something
hard
went
thing
wrong.
is I don't have the visual indication on my screen, because usually I'd have the actual software open, and I'm pretty sure those last two shots weren't in the actual ball detect square. That one definitely was, and it registered, funnily enough.
There we go. Phil's got a question here. Is it auto sense a putt versus an iron or driver, or do you need GS Pro to tell it to enter putting mode? So it tries to, Phil, but I wouldn't rely on that. Not if you really are. If you're on a heater of a round and you don't want anything to go wrong, just select putter. My very original unit did that. It would do its best to auto detect putter, and yeah, it worked quite well. But I would say select putter, and then you're guaranteed that it'll process properly.
Yeah. Not putting it in
Not
the
loving your
square, I
flop
think.
shots.
Yeah. There we go. Live testing. What could possibly go wrong, Brett?
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. I think that's all the questions I had. Let me just double check. If anyone's got any questions, definitely ask now. So Phil's
Yeah.
saying, he asked above, will it work with lefties?
Yep. Yep. For sure.
Nice. So it is right and left-handed. There's a lot of lefties I know in Canada, so you'd want to get it working for lefties. You've talked about integration with swing cameras, which is really good. That's one thing I love with the Pro T is they just open it up and just let you plug in just a driverless camera to just use in their software.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. Instead of having to pay for like a proprietary, like Unicore does with their
I know.
cameras. The price on those are
Yeah,
just ridiculous, aren't they?
Yeah, if we do swing cam, if we get to the point where we do have swing cam integration, like I said, we have the ability, hopefully we will have the ability to do hardware. Just standard USB 3 camera, just
Yeah,
plug it in, and we'll give some specs on what we suggest for frame rate and resolution, or maybe some brands that we've tried or heard work, but
yeah,
that feature would be very much kind of just, that'd be kind of like it does it, but we're not officially supporting it in terms of, it's this camera, you have to buy this camera, because they mark them up like crazy.
yeah.
So yeah, it'd be hopefully just reasonable frame rate USB 3 camera. Should just plug and play would be the goal.
Yeah, nice. Obviously, when this video ends, I will link the Discord, the website. What else do I need to link in the description? I'll link
I think
all of
that
the ways to contact these guys in the description. Glenn's asking, whereabouts are you guys based in Canada?
I'm in Calgary, Alberta, and my partner Mike is actually not in Canada. He's in the United States. He's in Chicago.
There you go. I think in the future, if we do get a V3, it'd be really cool to play some golf together on the units. and also get Mike to join us on camera live.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to do a playing round with V3. You'll be getting V3 as soon as we can get it to you. And yeah, Mike, what do you think? You want to play golf on the internet live?
We'll put Mike on the spot. I think Mike
He's
likes to be the guy behind the scenes, behind the computer. We'll get him on camera.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's gonna just Mike has exited chat. Just
Yeah. Yeah. I want to
yeah.
give a
No,
massive shout out to you, Brett. Thank you for coming on this live. I know it was probably nerve wracking. It's probably nerve wracking me also hitting shots live as well. So thank you for being patient and coming on the channel. I really appreciate it. And also Mike for hanging out in the chat as well.
yeah. No, thank you, Joe. Yeah, they're fun. I love talking about this stuff, and yeah, like I said, it's a nice way for us to get an update out when we just don't have a ton of time to do a video and whatever. So yeah,
Yeah,
thank you again for the support and the help with testing, and we'll get you a V3 as soon as we can so we can play that round.
super exciting. Yeah, Mike said he'll play a par 3 course, so we'll do a par 3 course.
Perfect. Yeah.
So this video will be, Eagles and Birdies is in the chat as well. I watch a lot of your videos, Eagles and Birdies, your flyover videos. I love those. That's how I select my courses for my league. Is I watch a lot of your videos and see, hey, is this course any good? All right, guys, that is going to be it for this. I really hope everybody enjoyed that. Again, special thanks to the guys for coming on. Can't wait for version 3. I'll link all of the things in the description of this video. So if you want to find out, you want to join the Discord, jump on, join the Discord. If you've got questions, you can put them in this video, but it's probably best to ask them in the Discord group because that's where they're going to get answered quicker. This video, I'm sure a lot of questions will get put in this video, but join the Discord and ask your questions there because more likely than not, someone will get back to you quicker than having to wait for me to write back a response. But yeah, all right, guys, that's going to be it for this one. Any final questions before we sign out? If not, we will sign out.
Awesome.
That looks like it.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, guys, take it easy. We'll catch you next week. I've got another episode next week that I think people are going to enjoy as well.